Thank you. Okay, I'd like to call the session of the Board of Revision to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Ojibwe, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 41st Nation in Treaty 3 territory. Today, my name is Harvey Diamond. I'm chairing this hearing today, and with me today is Tracy Anderson and Richard Whitbread. The City Assessment Department is represented by Svetlana Scheibel, and our administrative assistant is Louise Boilly. We'll be hearing application revision of the business assessment rules in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act and the City of Winnipeg Charter. The matters for which revision have been requested are described in each application, and we will be limiting discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing must be sworn or affirmed, and anyone speaking to such matters must be sworn in or affirmed. Be advised, the comparison of assessments of properties is not considered as evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council, is independent of it and the City Administration, and makes its decision on the basis of the evidence that is provided at this hearing, and will issue a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to an application for exemption from taxation, and should a party wish to appeal, information how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by any questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by any questions. Each party will be given an opportunity to summarize the wish to do so. Once all the evidence upon an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The person will repeat for each item on the docket today, and the session will close after all applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and renders decisions. You'll receive the Board's order by written mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and we form part of a public record. And today we'll be hearing all items of the docket being 1 through 8. Ms. Boilly, you can please swear in the assessor and the applicant's testimony at this time.
Madam Assessor, please state your full name.
Svetlana Scheibel.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Rod Slaughter.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before beginning, are there any preliminary matters that you wish to bring to the Board's attention?
No.
Ms. Scheibel?
No.
Okay, thank you. So the first matter on the docket today is 624 Lorette Avenue. Ms. Scheibel, you can proceed when you're ready.
624 Lorette. Okay. 624 Lorette. File number 22-4283. Business roll number 53831. Owner G-Max Auto Service Limited. We did assess the business at annual rental value $321,120 with leasable area of 20,063 square feet. Our overall rent per square foot that include occupancy cost $16.01. Base rent, net rent assessed $13.84. It's owner occupy building, and we have one of another tenants in the same building, Enterprise, rent a car provided to us lease size 2019 for 5,327 square feet at $10.40. Based on evidence in this report, it's my assessor opinion, the subject annual rental value of $321,120. On page number 2, we can see air photo and street view of the subject property. It's vehicle service garage situated on land area of 35,354 square feet and full usable area of improvements at 25,390 square feet. On page number 3, I have provided a comparable property 2020 report rental rate for vehicle service garage. We can see 10 comparables with average rent $14.65 and media rent $12.63. On page number 4, income expense Miller provided to us. Row 3, 5, 6, and 7. So my comparable showed average $14.65. It's market evidence. We assess property at $13.84. Based on comparables, the assessment in fair and should be confirmed at $321,120. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Slaughter, any questions?
I think he's frozen.
Mr. Slaughter? Let's see.
Okay, I'm not sure what's happened, but
Yeah, I don't know what's happened either.
He's giving us that 1,000-yard stare.
I'm just gonna
Oh.
like,
No, he's okay.
oh,
Hello.
hello, you're back.
Yeah, I apologize. I seem to be having bad service. I don't have any questions, Mr. Chairman. And what I'm going to do is try connecting to another Wi-Fi.
Hey,
So
you need
hopefully
some
this will
time,
help.
Slaughter. You need some time to do that?
Just a second, Mr. Chairman. I'm just going to find the. It'll just take me a minute if you don't mind.
Okay, not at all.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to mention that I didn't receive any agent evidence for the subject property.
That's correct. We're simply going to ask for a confirmation, Ms. Shable. We seem to be okay at the moment. I'm going to cross fingers that this is working. If it happens again, though, I will ask for a very brief recess, Mr. Chairman, if that's okay.
And that'll be fine. Hopefully you will stay connected. And but if you don't, for sure, we can give you an opportunity of connecting to another if you need to.
Thank you.
Okay, so you've asked for confirmation, and I'm going to ask my panel members if they require any questions. Ms. Anderson,
I have no questions, thank you.
Mr. Whitbread,
And I have none, thank you.
and I don't either, so thank you. We can now proceed then with the next matter, which is the property at 614 Dudley Avenue. Ms. Scheibel, when you're ready, you can proceed.
614 Dudley Avenue, file number 22-4637. Business ID number 19379. Owner Boyd Auto Body. We assess business at annual rental value $109,190 for a total area of 6,839 square feet with overall rent per square foot that include occupancy cost $16.08. Our clean base net rent assessed $13.58. It's tenants occupied vacancy lease as April 2020 for 10,000 square feet at $6 per square foot. Our total area 6,339 square feet. So on page number 2, I have provided air photo and street view of the subject property. Its vehicle service garage suited and land area 10,137 square feet and leasable area $6,839. It's look like lease, what we see on page number 1 for land value, $6 per square foot. On page number 3, I provided comparable property, same 10 comparable property, 2020 reported rental rate for service garage. They showed that average $14.65 and media $12.63. On page number 4, income expense mailer provided for us. So based off my evidence, we can see from 10 comparables reported to us, average $14.65. We assess at $13.58. It's fair, and based on my comparable assessment, assessment is fair and should be confirmed at $109,980. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Mr. Slaughter, any questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Ms. Shable, on page 5, you have the income and expense mailer from the property assessment, correct?
Correct.
And it indicates that there is an arm's length lease in place for $5,000 a month, and it was negotiated in April of 2020, correct?
Correct.
Would you feel that that would likely be a very good indicator of the market rent potential of the premise?
It's a lease for land only. If you open page number 2, leasable area 10,000 and land area 10,000, improvements less than 7,000 square feet. So it's land lease. It's not net rent.
Is it possible that the owner simply put 10,000 square feet as the land area, but in fact they are leasing land and buildings because the buildings were constructed in the 1950s?
It's land lease.
So the only evidence that you have of that, though, is that they put 10,000 rather than 6,000 square feet. Is that correct?
Because our records at improvement 6,339 square feet.
Yeah. So it's your assumption that because they entered 10,000 square feet, that this is a land lease, not land and building.
This I can accurately describe our subject property based off the data we have on file. On our file, less than 7,000 square feet. So it's land lease period.
And when you're looking at the comparisons that you have on page 3, would you agree that factors such as location, land to building ratio, and age should all be considered when comparing other premises to the subject premise?
Correct. To eliminate it, I presented 10 comparables to show average in media.
That's all my questions. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I do have rebuttal evidence for after the questions.
That's fair. And you can produce your rebuttal evidence after that. Thank you.
Certainly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Anderson, any questions?
I don't have any questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
No, I have none. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Scheibel, I'm looking at your comparisons, and it's something that Mr. Slaughter brought up, which is interesting. You do provide a photograph of the premises that are under the subject premises. Why don't you provide photographs of your comparisons so we can see if they really, in fact, compare?
I don't have comparables. Sorry. I don't have photo in front of me to provide.
Okay. Don't you think it would be valuable to us, though, to know if your comparisons are really on point or, and if they show similar properties to the leased property?
We can see similar space. We can see square footage when lease started, when it was built. For example, subject property built in 1953. You
I
can
understand.
see.
The question
Yes.
to you was, don't you think it would be helpful for us as a panel to have photographs of your subject properties so we can do a comparison?
Possible.
Yeah,
But
I think so. Okay, because it makes it difficult, and so I can feel for Mr. Slaughter, the question he asked you, because, you know, we have no idea what the comparisons are. They're just numbers to us, you know?
But it's through vehicle service garages
Okay, thank you.
across whole city.
Okay, I have no further questions. Mr. Slaughter, do you want to provide your rebuttal first, or do you want to do your evidence first and your rebuttal after? I'll let you go either way. It's up to you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I typically like to do rebuttal first because we've been talking about those comparisons and now it's fresh in mind, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So,
Sorry, the rebuttal evidence has been distributed, so if the panel members, if you want to refresh your screen, you should have it in your files.
Okay. Okay, I've got it now.
I have it.
Great. Mr. Whitbread, you're okay?
No. not
Okay.
yet.
I'll pause a moment.
Well, that is very weird. I've lost half my docket, believe it or not.
Man, give you a link.
Sorry, I think I'm going to try that. Do you mind if I just leave and come back in?
Yeah.
Because I've lost half my docket. I'm only up to number.
Richard.
Well,
Oh, yes.
Item 7 is off the docket, so if that's why.
No, I don't have it.
You don't have it?
No,
Louise, maybe you send Mr. Whippert a new link.
Yeah,
thank you.
no problem. Yeah, I just sent you the link. Hopefully it works.
No, I don't see it. Is it labeled rebuttal, Louise?
It is labeled rebuttal under the item 3, I believe, or whichever item we're on.
Richard, mine was just the third link, or the third item under the address we're dealing with, 614 W Avenue.
Mhm. Okay, I'm seeing it now. I found
See
it.
it?
Thank you for that.
Perfect. Okay, good.
Okay, Mr. Slaughter, when you're ready, you can proceed.
Great, thanks, Mr. Chairman. So I'd like to start off by saying this isn't a criticism of Ms. Schabel's evidence. It is difficult to find comparisons for premises such as this because it is an old, relatively old, 1950s vintage building on a small land-to-building ratio in a location that's not on a major thoroughfare. So it's tricky, but I do think it's worthwhile, and in keeping with your question, Mr. Chairman, to take a look at each of these comparisons a little closer. So starting with the very first on page 1 is 75 Stadacona. And this is an older construction, not as old as the subject, but it's 1976 is the effective year. And it's a lease signed very close to the reference date, November 2020, for 5 years. The building is 2,750 square feet. I think it's a great comparison. But the difference that I'd suggest here is that the land to building ratio you can see is 5.16 to 1. It's far greater. And one of the things about an auto body shop when we're valuing them is that the availability of land for storage or parking of vehicles is an asset. So that rent is $7.50 a square foot. And although I think maybe the subject's location might be slightly superior, I think this is a very good comparison, notwithstanding the much larger land to building ratio. When we move into some of the other comparisons, though, Mr. Chairman, I think we're looking at slightly different sort of properties. 3331 Portage is one of 4 units in a premise that we represent actually for the owner. And I have all the rents there shown. And this is a newer property. It's a far superior location. It has a land to building ratio of 5-1 when we count all of the units together. But of course, you can see it has ample room for parking and storage of vehicles. So I think we're talking about a far superior type of property here. 1118 Chevrier is a good comparison as far as land to building ratio. It's noted that the owner actually has the availability to lease the adjacent land from Manitoba Hydro for additional parking. You can see that in the picture. It's a much newer construction. It's the rigid steel construction common in the 1980s. The rent is actually a semi-gross. We do represent this owner, and it nets down to about $11.53. So while we're better as far as land to building ratio, I think the newer construction is what's driving the higher rent than what the subject property commands. 721 Watt Street is a service garage on a site with a Domo gas bar. It's a gross rent, actually. Again, we represent this property, and the total land to building ratio is 9.23-1. It's a higher traffic location on a good high traffic corner. And I think this would be a superior type property. 1315 Henderson is just under a 3-1 land to building ratio, higher traffic location, and a far newer construction in 1991. 484 St. Mary's, you can see this has quite a large parking area. We used to work for this property. 4.46-1 land to building ratio, very good high traffic location of St. Mary's. Next comparison, 1429 Clarence, a 1980 construction and a very large lot, 6.1-1 land to building ratio. 1870 King Edward, this is also a client of ours. The land to building ratio is 7.85-1, and it's a newer construction. B645, it's a 7.77-1 land to building ratio, newer construction. 1861 Pembina. This is a little bit better, Mr. Chairman, because although Pembina is a superior location in my mind to Dudley, which is off Pembina, this property is actually set back from Pembina. So in that way, the advantage of location, I think, is fairly similar. But it is a multi-tenant property. The unit in question is one unit within the property. And the total land to building for that site would be 3.7-1. So you can see that there is ample parking. So I think this is, again, superior in that aspect, but the rent here is $9 a square foot. So when we look at all of the comparisons, Mr. Chairman, I think the ones, for the reasons I mentioned, in my opinion, that would probably be the most germane to compare to the subject properties lease are numbers 1 and 10. And again, those rents are $7.50 and $9 a square foot. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Scheibel, any questions?
I have comments.
No questions now. Comments you can make later.
Okay. Our subject property has less than 7,000 square feet leasable area, 10,000 land area. My comparables, everyone, most of them around 2,000 square feet. For example, if improvements will be 2,000, what will be land to improvements ratio?
I have the land to building ratios for each of these because, of course, that would depend on both the numerator and the denominator of the land size. So there's only one that I think is comparable in land to building ratio, and that would be comparison number 3.
But you would agree that 7,000 square feet subject property and 10,000 land area, if, for example, it's 2,000, it will be 1-to-5 land value ratio, correct?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know if that's really something we should consider. It's rather hypothetical, I think.
Hypothetical, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. No further comments.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Whipper, any questions?
I'm just looking at your chart, and you've got some outliers. You've got the $29.30 outlier, what I call outliers, and I'm going to ask your opinion on this. $21 as an outlier, and then you've got the $7.50, which you say is one of the best comparables, and a $9 comparable, which you say is one of the best comparables. But if you look at the rest of them, oh, and I guess if you take out the 17,000 square foot property, did you do any calculations to see what that would come to as an average, Mr. Slaughter?
No, I mean, the average, if we include those, it'd be close to what the city states is the average. But I hope, Mr. Whitbread, what I tried to do is when we look at some of the factors, physical factors of the comparisons, it is for that reason. It's not just because they're the lowest rents that I have selected numbers 1 and 10 as the best. And again, 3 of the factors, and there's many factors to consider in a market rent determination, but 3 of the factors I think that we really should focus on are land to building ratio, location, age of construction.
Yeah.
And so, and the last point would be that, number 4, actually, as I mentioned, that is a property that Altus represents for the owner, and that rent is a gross rent, a fully gross rent.
Okay. It's not a net rent. It says net PSI, but it's a gross.
Yeah. So that's my rebuttal evidence.
So it's just a coincidence that you selected the 2 lowest priced properties as your best comparables.
No, I think it's because of the site-specific factors of those comparisons.
Okay.
Again, age, land to building ratio, location. And again, it's difficult. I empathize, and you're going to see from my evidence, it's not very good either for market rent comparisons because we have a bit of an anomaly with this property. You don't find many service garages with this type of land to building ratio and of this age.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I have no further questions. So, Mr. Slaughter, you can go on with your main evidence now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So the main brief looks very similar to the rebuttal brief. Page 1 or page 2 is a photograph of the property. And you can see this is it looks like an older property. It has basically 3 sections. There's a paint garage along the side. And the back is that almost A-frame style garage area, and it has 1 loading door off Dudley to that, and then a small office in the front that I estimate is about 300 square feet. Page 4 is a bit more information on the property. I verified a couple points, Mr. Chairman, with the tenant. Number 1 is I said, can we confirm that the rent in place for the premises, 6839 square feet, is in fact arm's length? And they said, yes, it is. And I think the comment that this would be a land lease, I think that might be not accurate. I think what the owner did is they simply put in the land area as leasable area by accident. The improvements were built in the 1950s. So I don't think it's possible that they would have a lease that only contemplated the land when the improvements exist. And the second thing I confirmed with them, Mr. Chairman, is that the only areas that have HVAC is the front office, which again is about 300 square feet. So if we go down to our comparisons, as I mentioned, I actually prefer the assessor's comparisons, number 1 and 10, to any of ours. But again, this is a test to see if the $8.77 a square foot rent, which is the calculation based on the building area, if that is appropriate. Do we find rents in that range for industrial type properties? The 5 comparisons we have, Mr. Chairman, we have photographs at the end of the brief and a map to show where they're located. They're all in the St. James location. And 3 of these comparisons, Mr. Chairman, are actually in multi-tenant locations, which isn't the best comparison. And 2 are standalone, but they're much larger. But what I'm trying to do is show that we have the best evidence. And that is $8.77 is the actual rent. And does that make sense? And I think it does. And again, it's also corroborated when we look at the assessor's evidence to the most comparable premises. So we feel that the actual rent should be applied. That's $8.77. It was negotiated in 2020. I see no reason why we would stray from that and base our conclusions on other properties' rents. The only other point, Mr. Chairman, is that we need to adjust the occupancy costs. The assessor currently has 100% of the area having heat, hydro, water, and air conditioning. And we agree with the first 3, but air conditioning, as we've confirmed with the owner, only applies to 300 square feet. So on page 7, we apply $8.77 a square foot to the building area, and we apply occupancy costs with air conditioning only applied to 300 square feet. And we thereby come to a conclusion for the annual rental value of $74,760 rounded. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. Scheibel, any questions?
Yes, please. Page 6 of agent brief. Century Street, what correct address is it?
If you can give me a moment, Shable, I'll find that. Hope. Just opening up a source document, Shable, just be a moment. Century Street is 801 Century Street, unit number 9. And again, there's a photograph at the end of the brief.
This comparables half size of subject property, correct?
The first one is 4,198 square feet.
And
So
what
about
land improvements ratio for your comparables?
I could find that out, but I need to go back to the 801 Century file because it's a multi-tenant property, so I can't take it based on the unit size. That would be inaccurate.
Okay, it's not standalone. And second comparable, St. James, what street number?
1891, and it's unit number 18. Again, it's a multi-tenant property.
18, okay. It's less than 2,000 square feet.
That's correct. It is much smaller.
Your comparable number 3.
That's 1642 St. James.
St. James, it's 1.8 thousand square feet. It's so your second and third comparables 4 times less. 4 times less that subject property, correct?
Approximately, yeah. I'd say about a third. But
Your comparable number 4, what street number?
it's 1016 St. James.
1016. So these comparables were house size more as subject property land, correct?
Yeah, the building size is about twice the size of the subject property. And again, if you'd like, I can find the land to building ratio on that single occupant building.
And your last comparable, Sergeant, what street number is it?
It's 1801, Sergeant.
1801. It's 50% higher, just improvements that land subject land, correct?
That's correct.
So by economic of scale, all your rent should be upward adjustment for the size, correct?
As a thing that I always say about economies of scale is that it definitely is a principle that the market would recognize, but of course you have to consider all other things being equal. So, you know, we have to look at all factors, age, location, everything else before we just make one adjustment.
You made points that my comparable number 10 very close comparable to the subject property, correct? You state.
Yes, sorry, let me just go back to that for a moment and I'll explain why again. I consider Pembina Highway to be a superior location to Dudley, but as I mentioned, this is actually set back from Pembina. It's behind what used to be the Office Depot there, set at the back. So in that way, I think it's actually quite a good comparison for location. So the only things I'd consider is it does, being a multi-tenant unit with a 3.31 land to building ratio overall, you can see in the picture there's lots of room for parking. That's one factor we need to consider. And it was built in 1980 rather than the 50s. That's the second. But you know, again, we look at all factors and then try and do a plus and minus. And overall, I think that's a fairly good comparison.
And this comparable lease was negotiation 4 years before reference dates. It's have to be upward adjustment for the time, correct?
I don't like to make comments like that without data to support.
No further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson, any questions?
I do not have any questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Whitmer, any questions?
Just one minor clarification. On page 1 of your brief, you indicate the city has put in a value of 118,260. Is that a typo?
Likely is, Mr. Whitbread. Let me just see here. 118,260. Yes, it looks like they're actually at 109,980. I apologize.
No worries. Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you very much. No, I have no other questions.
Okay, I guess I only have one question, and that is, have you seen the lease, Mr. Slaughter?
Oh, I have I actually asked the owner, because we don't represent the property for the owner. So I asked the tenant, and I can quote the email, Mr. Chairman, just so there's no confusion there. Just one moment. So I state in the email that the appeal is coming up. My email was on March 18th, and I say we can confirm that the business assessment for your premise is based on an occupied area of 6,839 square feet. And then I ask, is the premise leased from an arm's length owner? It appears Altus did not review the realty assessment for the property, which leads me to believe that the premise is leased. And Elaine Hallis, real estate manager based in Elmhurst, Illinois, responded, yes, the property is leased. Current term expires 3/31/26. We are tracking a square footage of 6,839. And then she provides the breakdown with GST, realty taxes, etc., so that I was able to confirm that it is net. And that was the verification, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so it's not a land lease of 10,000. It's actually the building that's leased and the land's just included.
Yeah, and then there's a few reasons. I can see how an owner might accidentally put in the land area by accident. It is an error, but the fact is that the improvements were built in the 1950s, so I can't see any sort of transaction between arm's length landlord and tenant that would contemplate only a portion of the property as it exists. And the second reason is she confirmed the leasable area in her response to the lease.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we can proceed with the third matter in the docket, which is 614. Okay, sorry. So I guess we're on 340 Pepin Highway, Ms. Scheibel?
340. Yes. File number 22-4258, business assess ID 54117, owner Cal Tire Limited. We assess property at annual rental value $126,300. I did update property records area, leasable area to 5,571 square feet. I sent that additional information about workup for business annual rental value, because we can see that I changed occupancy cost. It's only 1,240 square feet. Do you have in front of you?
Yeah, on the air conditioning, yes.
Yes, and additional information I provided to you.
Okay.
So, based on evidence and this report, it's assessor opinion that subject property rent premise area should be increased from 5,400 square feet to 5,571 square feet. And according to Board of Revision decision, I did apply $18 per square foot, original $21.60. So I propose reduction 2023 annual rental value from $126,300 to $112,680. It's in my additional information provided to us recently. Let's look on subject property. On page number 2, we can see air photo in street view at service garage suited on land area of 15,000 square feet and leasable area 5,571 square feet. We don't account for existing basement of this building. And information provided to us in 2022 and net rent at 5,571 square feet. More income expense mailer provided. Order for realty on page number 4, reduction. And my calculation on original document, please cross my estimation, open my additional. So business assessment was assessed at $21.60 for 5,400 square feet. My reduction on 5,571 square feet at $18, as it's give us $112,680. Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Slaughter?
Questions, thank you.
Okay, and we have a recommendation, Mr. Slaughter. Is that acceptable?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly to explain why, we also intended to use that greater area that Ms. Shable has used, so that's fine. The rent is based on the realty rent that Altus had argued for the realty assessment, and the board agreed, and Altus or neither party appealed further. So we agreed to the rent, and the occupancy costs are accurate. So we agree. Thank you.
So $112,680, is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Ms. Anderson?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Whippert, any questions?
No, I have none. Thank you.
And I don't have any either. Thank you. Okay, so we'll now proceed with the next matter, which is 747 Pembina Highway. And when you're ready, Ms. Shable, you can proceed.
Yes. File number 22-4394. Business assessment ID number is 51330. Owner Red River Cooperative Limited. We assess business at annual rental value at $86,160 for total area of 1,760 square feet, with overall rent per square foot, include operating costs $48.95. According to Board of Revision decision, at a clear $14 per square foot, I recommended reduction of 2023 annual value to $74,820. On page number 2, air photo in street view, subject property situated on land over 24,000 square feet with small leasable area 1,780 square feet. We presented rent comparables for similar type of property. It's 14. It's store, pump, car wash, Doma gasoline, all together. It showed average $32.32 and media $56.28. All my 14 comparables. On page number 4, income expense were provided to us, and realty order on page number 5, and my estimation on page number 6, based on comparables and the assessment and fair and should be reduced to $86,860. Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Slaughter, any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
sorry. It's original.
Yeah,
It should be reduced to $74,820. Sorry, it's on page number 7.
Right.
okay. Yeah, so I'm looking at. Okay. Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Slaughter?
thanks, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Schabel, on page 3, you show 14 comparisons. And at quick glance, it seems to me that here we do see the effect of economies of scale. We really see it in kiosk type leases for gas bars and such. So you'd agree that smaller, like under 1,000 square feet, that's where we see the higher per square foot rents. And as we move into the areas over 1,000 feet, like the subject property, they come down. In fact, by area, I would suggest that perhaps numbers 2, 11, and 12 would probably be the best comparisons to the subject with that one criteria. Would you agree?
Correct.
Sorry, did you say yes?
She said yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. That is all the questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, well, we have a recommendation here, Mr. Slaughter. You did ask a question. Are you accepting the recommendation?
No, we can't. And I appreciate the recommendation very much. And it's following the logic that Ms. Schabel and I had been following, that if the realty assessment was reduced, we would follow that. But unfortunately, Mr. Chairman, the owner had elected to appeal further on the realty assessment. And so I need to continue the appeal.
That's fine. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Anderson, questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
No, I have none. Thank you.
And I don't have any. So, Mr. Slaughter, you can proceed with your evidence.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just keep it very quick because again, we typically would have accepted the $40, but as I mentioned, the owner elected to appeal further. The realty assessment, Altus was seeking $36 a square foot. And so I'll just save a bit of time, Mr. Chairman, by going forward to the evidence that we provided at that hearing as well, where the board elected to reduce only to 40. And that would be on page 6. And many of these comparisons are similar to the cities. But again, I'm focusing in trying to look at the ones that are C-store only, that's convenience store, and then they'd have the gas bar and not with the car wash. And number 7 is the same comparison as number 11 in the city's evidence. I think that's a fairly good one. It's a C-store with 1,336 square feet. The lease was signed in late 2019, and it's at $32.93 a square foot. It was based on that, and then an overall look at all comparisons, but trying to make adjustments for size, location, et cetera, that Altus had sought $36 a square foot. And so I'm staying with that position, Mr. Chairman, for today's business assessment appeal. I ask the board to reduce the assessment further than the 40 applied by the Board of Revision for the Realty to $36. And on page 7, we'll see how that plays into the final requested annual rental value, which when we add the occupancy costs results in an ARV of $67,140. And that's all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions, Ms. Scheibel?
Yes. You would agree that rent rate for income approach for the subject property has to capture land value? Yes or no?
Yes, it's my understanding that many of these leases are based on a land value.
You would agree that original reduced value of subject property to 1,719,000 divided by land area will be $7 per square foot only. Very valuable land on Pembina with zoning. Commercial zoning C2.
So I'm not going to confirm that calculation, Ms. Schabel. I don't have it in front of me, but I don't doubt it. But let me just point out one thing, if I may. I mentioned that, yes, these pad leases are often based on a land value. I should clarify that. It's not necessarily just a land value. How the parties come to an agreement in a gas station type, for a gas station like this, is that they try and estimate what the gallonage sales will be, and they use that as their basis to determine the pad lease. So the pad lease may in fact be similar to the land value reversed capitalized to a rent, but it may not, because it's not just based on the land and its location and other attributes. It's based on a hypothetical sales calculation. So for that reason, although we are using those pad leases as the basis of our annual rental value for the market rent here, I just wanted to clarify what it actually is, what that calculation is based on. And it basically is a hypothetical business value.
No further questions.
Okay, Ms. Anderson, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Ripper, any questions?
Just one clarification. I don't think you mentioned this. Rent is an obvious issue here, but occupancy is also an issue. You're suggesting in your evidence that only 50 square feet of that location is air conditioned. Is that correct?
Is what I have in my brief, Mr. Whitbread, but I am afraid that is. I don't know why that. I have a revision to make then, Mr. Chairman. I apologize. That's a good catch, Mr. Whitbread, that there's no reason why it would be 50 square feet.
I know I'm not supposed to give evidence, but I go to that service station twice a week, and I think it's all air conditioned.
Yeah, no, as far as I know, you're 100% right. So we would be adding $600 to the annual rental value, Mr. Chairman. So it may round differently, but I would suggest that if the board were to agree to my market rent of $36 rather than $40, then the annual rental value would be $67,740.
And that works.
Thank you.
I'm not saying we agree. I'm saying it works divisible by 12.
I understand.
Okay,
Any further questions, Mr. Whitbread?
I have none. Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Slaughter, I guess the only question I have is this: obviously the realty is going forward to appeal. The business assessment's been reduced in accordance with what was decided on realty. And obviously, either way, this is going to go to appeal as well, because if we find in your favor, the city will obviously be appealing this matter as well. So it's basically not really pertinent how we decide, is it?
Well, so to explain, Mr. Chairman, why I'm still presenting on this, Ms. Schabel had, and again, I thank her for this, she had presented an agreement based on $40 a square foot. And I said, well, I can't sign that, because should the owner or the client for the business assessment, which is the owner, decide that they wish to continue, of course, the matter would be closed for 2023. So I am continuing on. I could have just asked for confirmation, but I thought, in this case, I will present the evidence. So in my mind, the board would have a decision. Do they agree with $40 a square foot as the realty applied, in which case the owner then has the opportunity to appeal that decision to the municipal board seeking further reduction? Or does the board actually agree with me at 36, and then this matter is closed for the business assessment, as far as I'm concerned, unless the city disagrees.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Slaughter.
Okay.
Okay, so that completes this matter then, and so we can proceed with the next, which okay. So that would be our property at 1626 Ness Avenue.
File number 22-4611. Business ID number is 43664. We have a Safeway gas bar. We assess property at business at $18,116 for leasable area only, or 450 square feet. Our overall rent included occupancy cost $178.30. It's when we take out occupancy cost, it will be $175.60 for business assessment. The owner provide us land lease for 18,000 square feet at $2.78. On page number 2, it's air photo and street view of subject property. Subject property located on 18,000 square feet and leasable area only 450 square feet. On page number 3, I presented income expenses, rent comparables for similar type of properties. We have comparable or sterling area of store over 2,000 square feet, and Inster close to subject property 500 square feet, and they rent showed rent $188.57. Shell Canada comparable number 3 and Eastland store, same size of store, 540 square feet and $19.74, but lease started in 2012. It has to be 9 years upward adjustment for the time. Small gasoline on comparable number 4 on NES for $116.71. Comparable number 5 has car wash. Comparable number 7, small area, 840 square feet for $53.57, but lease started in 2014. It's needed 7 years upward adjustment for the time. It's on air. Comparable number 9, small square footage around 4,000 square feet for $151 per square foot. Comparable number 10 of Cannonston, small area, less than 500 square feet at $150.27. So our comparables, based on comparables, our assessment at $175.60, it's fair. The assessment should be confirmed. Annual rental value at $80,116. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Slider, any questions?
Questions, Mr. Chairman. We will request a confirmation. I can wait to do that after questioning if you'd like.
No, if you want a confirmation, I don't think we need to ask any questions. Okay.
So just to explain that, we appealed this to the Board of Revision for the realty assessment. There was a reduction, but it was on cap rate. The board didn't agree with our market rent conclusion, which was $150 a square foot, this being a smaller kiosk of 450 square feet. And so the owner had requested we appeal that to the Manitoba Municipal Board. And in this case, Mr. Chairman, not to sound defeatist, but I thought we'd probably just ask for the confirmation and then the owner can appeal further if they wish, rather than present the evidence again. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I think that you answered any questions that I could have had, but panel members, if there's anything else, please ask that question now.
I have nothing. Thank you.
And I have none. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Whitford and Ms. Anderson. Okay, we'll then proceed with the next matter.
That's the end of the document.
That is the end. Wow.
May I mention that we have 3360 Portridge Avenue in 618 Lorette. No evidence, no information what happened with these cases.
I apologize, Ms. Scheibel. I had sent withdrawal letters to the board. I forgot to CC you. I'll send those to you right now.
Thank you.
Okay, so those matters have been withdrawn, so thank you. And we've now heard all of the matters that we had in our docket left meeting today. So I thank you both for your attendance and your evidence and answering our questions. We'll be deliberate in private and you'll have our decisions very soon. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
very much.
Have a great rest of the day.
And you too.
Bye.
Thank you.
You too. Bye.